महाराज की
जय।
सर्वं योगिराज सूरत कुमारार्पणम्। Today, this grand evening, with the accompaniment of the rain, we somehow managed to sing in competition with the rain. Pure grace. Every time we get a chance to chant this mantra, this powerful mantra, Yogiram Kumar, we have to celebrate it with gratitude. Acknowledge His grace in allowing us to do it. Now so many days, it's more than 3.5 months now. Every day, we have been singing His name and sharing some of the Leelas. Like I said, some drops from the ocean of Leelas. Leela Samudram, we call it. Due to time constraints, from tomorrow, from the Guruvar, Thursday, we shall limit ourselves to 1 or 2 Leelas in the morning in Tamil, and the same will be repeated in English in the evening. Instead of doing it every day, in the morning Tamil followed by English, and in the evening English followed by Tamil, it takes double the time. So from tomorrow, it will be in Tamil in the morning, and the same will be in English in the evening, the satsang. Listening to a satsang, which is generally the stories which depict the glories of the divine life of the Guru, is what we call it a yoga by itself. It's called Shravana Yoga. Listening to it with rapt attention will invoke a huge grace from the divine, from our Guru Bhagavan. But after that, whatever we listen to in the satsang, we have to bring it to our mind repetitively. Think again and again and again, and go into it deeply. And if there is any revelation there, any teaching lesson, it will definitely come to our mind, and to that extent, it would transform us. So for the sake of the transformation, it's very necessary to bring to your mind again and again some of the Leelas, at least some of the Leelas to the mind. This is called Manana Yoga. Now there have been too many Leelas of late. We have listened to, we have shared. Now instead of adding more and more to it, there are ever so many. It's Kripa Samudram. It's an ocean of Leela. There is no dearth of Leelas at all. But whatever we have listened to, we have to bring to our mind again and again and do this Manana Yoga. So, we shall go a little slow now, from now on. from tomorrow, from Guruvar, Bhagwan, being Bhagwan, Bhagwan of the whole creation, he was always blessing people in some way or the other, though it was not obvious to some people sometimes. For us, speaking a loving word, speaking a kind word, and his gesture of blessing mattered so much. But there were other types of blessings, blessings in disguise. We have to learn. Once, it was about afternoon time, about 12 o'clock or so, Swami was going to leave us all. This man came, he was totally drunk. It was oppressive sun. Sun was hot and brilliant. He was staggering, and he carried a knife. He came and stood before Sannadhi Street House and gave out a challenge, a loud, abusive challenge. His knife was also shining because of the sunshine. We could see the reflection coming in, and he was waving it before and calling out, "Hey yogi." He addressed him in very abusive terms, which we will not repeat here. What he said was, "If you are a yogi, come on, come and stand before me. Let us see how you manage, how you handle my knife. You have to answer my knife. People are saying you are yogi. Let us see what an yogi you are." He was shouting and flaunting this knife. Naturally, we were all trembling inside because a drunkard could do anything. He won't have strength at all. You just give one slap and he would collapse. But sometimes, without knowing what they are doing, they can do great harm. So we were afraid. We held our breath, and I started to pray. But Bhagwan, who was sitting there, stood up in a jump, and he was going towards the gate. Naturally, we all held our breath, worried for his sake, but Bhagwan was least bothered. He just opened the gate widely, and this man came forward, took a step or two forward. I almost closed my eyes. I didn't want to see, because you cannot do a thing without Bhagwan saying anything. But if we prayed, we knew Bhagwan had promised if we called out his name, even for his own sake, it had to respond. So, Swami just stood there on the threshold, kind of draping himself there, and looked at him, stared. He gave him a stare. Within minutes, within seconds I should say, not even minutes, all that Bhagwan did was stand there and give a stare. We do not know what transpired between Bhagwan and that man, the drunkard with the knife. The next second, we saw him screaming, dropping his knife with a thud, and running away, screaming and screaming as though the very devil was after him. What was more, Bhagavan was looking at him from here, raised his hand and blessed him. He kept on blessing that man until he disappeared out of sight. We do not know what exactly transpired, what the drunkard saw in Bhagavan, because we were all facing his back. Bhagavan had his back towards us. Another time, some of us were there. I had some reason to complain, grumble in the mind. Of course, none of us had the guts to say anything to his face, but sometimes we had our grievances. Like Bhagavan was not giving me any personal service at all. Sometimes he would deliberately ignore, especially when we most needed his attention. At least we thought so. So I had my grievances and I was grumbling inside. And there were two people, they were college professors. Just minutes before their coming, Bhagavan was talking about a college professor who had spent 2 hours with Bhagavan the previous time he visited, in complete silence. Bhagavan had observed complete silence, but he allowed this professor to sit before him for 2 hours. 2 hours in the company of God himself. But that professor carried a grievance. He wrote back to say that you made me sit with you for 2 hours, 2.5 hours, but you never spoke a word. So Bhagavan was saying, after this beggar gave him 2 hours of sitting here, this man was complaining that this beggar did not talk a word. It looked as though he was disgusted. He probably was. Who could understand his feelings or moods? Here I had my own grievances, and that professor had come and he was seated just opposite. Suddenly, a village lady, a vendor, a vegetable vendor, came and stood there with her basket. And she was just peeping inside. Because it was little dark, there wasn't much light. She was looking here, trying to locate, trying to spot Bhagavan. She kind of, with a shrunk eye, she was just looking and looking. And Bhagavan gave a shout from inside. Why are you troubling this beggar again and again? What is the necessity to come and trouble this beggar? Go away. Go away from here. Why do you trouble? Why do you trouble? Why do you come to see this beggar? When he said the last sentence, why do you come to see this beggar? She heard it. And immediately she responded. She said, Ayasami, you think that I have come to see you? I have come here for you to see me. Now that you have seen me, that's enough, it has made my day. I will go. And the way she said it with the same force with which Bhagavan shouted. And immediately, and she left immediately. She didn't even look back. She left very happily. She was smiling and she left happily. And Bhagavan began to laugh. There was a look of mischief on his face. He gave a mischievous smile and then he burst into laughter. He did not say a word. He just gave me a corner glance, and I knew instantly why he was laughing. He put his hand over his mouth and then laughed and laughed. And suddenly it flashed, by his own grace, here he is giving us so much time, we could even interact if we wanted. We had the great fortune of sitting with him, sometimes interacting with him, in spite of which we imagine some lack, and then we complain, we entertain grievances. Whereas this lady, it was hardly a second that she stood there. And she was so happy as soon as Bhagavan shouted at her, because she knew that Bhagavan had seen her. And that was enough for her. In that 1 second of his glance, she got whatever she wanted. She had that kind of mental preparation. She must have been quite evolved. We were all involved, but we were not evolved enough. But she was evolved because she was happy and contented with whatever Bhagavan gave. And that day I learnt a huge lesson. Never to complain, never to grumble. Whatever we deserved, we were already getting. And there was no reason at all to complain. This contentment is what is necessary. This contentment is the highest blessing. But this could come only from high wisdom. So this is what I understood, and I think the professor there opposite, he also understood. Because he immediately folded his hands and looked at Bhagavan apologetically. This is a lesson for all of us, because through this small demonstration, a Leela, we understand in life also we have been equipped with many blessings. We already have many blessings from God. He has equipped us with whatever is necessary for us. And still we pick up something that we want, and then we imagine that it is a need, and then we start complaining, grumbling that it's not getting fulfilled. We forget to see the blessings we already have. This happens in life. Bhagavan is already taking care of us. Blessing is enough. And whenever we call out, there is an immediate divine response. And still, we have a long list of things, and we think of all those things that we have not achieved, we have not got yet, and complain. Instead of feeling contented and peaceful with what we have. This is what I learned that day. Never to complain, never to grumble, because we are already getting enough and more. It's just that we don't recognize them for what they are and seek something else which may not be good for us at all. So that Bhagavan, who taught us a very deep lesson that day through a small demonstration, is here, right in front of us. That Bhagavan who blessed a man who came to kill him, who abused him in the worst words, showed his knife with a single stare at him, he had the whole situation under control, and what was more, that man dropped his knife and ran away, screaming. And Bhagavan was blessing him. He got more blessings than any of us there. Now that Bhagavan is here in front of us. Let us appeal to that boundless compassion, that boundless grace, mercy, kindness, and beg soulfully, earnestly, to bestow His grace upon the entire humanity to be free from this, I wouldn't say deadly, the terrible, dreadful virus